Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail, and this is Ashishishe coming to join us today and talk about his experiences and tell us a little bit about what you do in your past, and then we'll come back and go through your journey. Ashishishe, go ahead.
Okay. Well, basically, my beginnings of meditation had a strong Native American influence. I was in a group that did a monthly.
Actually, I wanted to wait for that a little bit.
Okay.
They want to know who you are. Tell
Who
people
I am?
who you
Well,
are. Yes,
yeah, I've got a little bit of Native blood. I'm retired. I've got a military background. I've also have a background as a corporate controller, handling numbers. Um, my I became very skilled at being able to predict company futures based on analyzing their balance sheets, kind of a forensic accountant. So right now I've been retired for 20 years. I live in the woods and do a lot of volunteer work and let spirits speak to me when they want to. One of my sidelines was actually a ghost tour guide at a haunted hotel. So,
oh, wow. You're a brave man for that one.
well, we when we walked out of the hotel at night, we said everything that was here when we arrived will stay here uh, uh, and not follow us home. So,
See,
but
I'm
we
such a
did have some cases where people called us the next day, and we think something followed them home. So.
Yeah, that would be me because I'm such a beacon that even if I think or look at a place that might have something, it will end up in my car, it'll end up in my house, and I have to do something with it. So it'll be
Well,
new.
that's another one of my sidelines. I do. I've done several home cleansing, so to speak.
Okay. Yes. Yes. All right. Well, let me say hello to some people that are here, and then we'll get into the major topic of today about you. Well, that makes a lot of sense what I just said. Sorry, everybody. But anyway, I'm not going to be taking questions quite yet today. Maybe at the end if we have time, but not right now. But Lisa Davies, look at Patricia Hernandez answer. I agree with her. Girl, quit stressing. It's going to happen when it happens. And it's only going to be a little bit snippet at a time. But you've got to quit stressing about it. Relax. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Hypnicity. Hey, Ann. Thanks for being here. Hey, Barbara. And then again, thanks, Patricia. Hey, Hypnicity. Well, thanks. Hey, Hypnicity. Let's say, oh, hey, Terry. Thanks for being here. Terry and I have a video that's going to be released today, 3:00 Eastern time. It might be 2:00 Terry's time because we didn't talk about the changes of our living, where we live. Hey, Barbara, I'm getting tongue-tied today. I'm glad you're doing most of the talking today, she. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Sandy B. Hey, hey, Annie Bear. Thanks for being here. Hey, Julie Hamble. Hey, Carl. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Teresa. Thanks for being here. Hey, Fine in Phoenix. I hadn't seen you in a while. Thanks for being here. Let's see who else is here. Patricia Sullivan. Thanks for being here. Barbara. Let's see who else. We've got everybody coming in on a Saturday. Thank you all for joining us today. Hey, Rossi. Hey, Hypnicity. I'm not sure. I'm going to start your questions, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to it today. She has a lot of information to share. Hey, Mary. Hey, Maria is grateful. Thanks for being here. Hey, Spirit Art by Danielle. Hey, Danielle. Thanks for being here. Hey, Sonawat. Thanks for joining us today. And let's see. Lisa, you laugh out loud. You're chilling. The tub as we speak. You're in the tub as you speak. Well, good. You got to let the brain relax too. Something you need either a distraction because I could just feel in your questions how anxious you were about it. It's just going to happen. Let it happen. Annie Bear, you heard Coyote singing this morning. Oh gosh, yes. You're just talking about was it that when you were playing the flute? Was it Coyotes that you said started singing with you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Lisa, you really enjoyed the last show that Ashishe did with it. Yeah, we were talking about what he does with the volcanoes and earthquakes. Was it
Yes.
earthquakes? So go back.
Earthquake.
Yeah,
Two
go back
times.
and look at
Yeah.
that show. Yeah, we're going to be talking about other things today, but go ahead, look back and look at that show. Yes, and thanks, Patricia, about answering the question again, helping me out with that. And y'all are such light workers. I appreciate the help that y'all do give and people in the chat, especially when I'm missing them or when I can't get to it. So I appreciate all the support and help that you do. But okay, hey, decode 53, their number. I'm not sure what that means. 53 is their number. Um, let's see. I would say, I'm not sure about that. Moderators, if you just check out that decode 53, if you just watch that, please. Oh, okay, Barbara, you know this person? Well, thanks for being here. Oh, you find in Phoenix, you've been around, but not so active in the chat. Okay, I always have to be inspired by everyone else. Oh, well, thank you. Hey, Linda Thompson, thanks for being here. Anyway, all right, let's get to it. Ashishe, let's start with the beginning and how you started getting into the metaphysical world in the beginning. How that looked like for you? How did that start?
Well, I left the active duty military and relocated back to my hometown, and I began looking for um, activities or groups, and I found one that basically had a monthly meeting where we did it was on a Native American format. It was called the Pipe Circle, and we met once a month. And during that time, we had a drumming and meditation, and then you shared what you experienced. And this group also did sweat lodges, and we evolved into doing a vision quest once a non-piercing Sundance once a year. And so in participating in these activities, the spirit started speaking to me when we were in the drumming circle. I started getting visions, and so I just continued to practice. And then it evolved to later on in my work time, I had an hour off for lunch in an area I could go walk. And so I began what I called a walking trance. And what was beautiful about that is the walking keeps you awake. And although I did, it was an eyes closed kind of deal. I'd open one eye just every 6 steps to see where I was going, but I maintained a very deep state for an hour, and I never knew where I was going. The journey would start, and that's how I evolved to going to the ship and doing the planet work and this type of thing. And so that added the ET element along with the Native American element. And then as I retired, I had an opportunity to be a ghost tour guide at a haunted hotel. And it was the third most, on sci-fi, it was the third most active place they visited in one particular year. So that opened up a whole nother realm. And so I've kind of then experiences with my family and others passing also opened up another realm. So as the doors opened, I continued to walk through them. But I do say that you do have to engage in some type of activity that does give you the chance to enter into a meditational state. And then the other things that happen up here.
Let's talk about that. How can different things people can get into the meditative state?
Well, I'm a shamanic drummer, and so I've got a 16-inch elk hide drum, and I start with the drum beat on that, and I chant, and then get quiet, and it's an eyes closed type of vision where things just, yeah. I had an interesting, the way to describe it, I had an interesting experience in the hospital. I closed my eyes and it was like two TV screens coming on, or a TV screen coming on. I couldn't rest or go to sleep or anything. I mean, there was a show going on and I was forced to watch it. So, yeah, but you get in the drum beat, and I've ended up in a buffalo stampede, been swallowed by a snake in a sweat lodge. I've had my stomach eaten out by a bear in a sweat lodge that I had a stomach ache. Animals come into the sweat lodge and come through it. It's just, you get yourself in a meditational state, and I never know what window is going to open up, but I show no fear, and things begin to flow.
Okay.
And I've also
stop you right there. Let's talk about the meditative state, or that looks different for people. So everybody who struggles with meditation or getting quiet or trying to find their means to meditate, there are different things. Like yours was walking, and a lot of people, it can be running, hearing your feet pound the ground, or walking, hearing your feet pound the ground. A lot of people, it can be just having their hands in water, washing dishes, or standing in the shower, having water flow over them, walking in nature, sitting out in nature. Meditation does not have to look like the guru sitting and chanting with their legs crossed. So everybody, you just find your own way of doing it. It can be doing your artwork, it can be doing dancing. There's all sorts of ways that you can get into a meditative state and to bring you up to another dimension. So go ahead, Ashishishe, go ahead and continue. I just wanted to let people know that
yeah, I mean, this is a basis for it. And then as you walk through life, Spirit talks to you and makes you aware of things. One other side note, I have done Native American dancing. I'm a gourd dancer, and I've got leg bells and this kind of thing. I don't do it that much anymore, but I was able to people would journey to me dancing with my leg bells. Mm-hmm. They commented that it helped them slide into altered another dimension.
Right, or Shusha's added, which I should have said, taking deep breaths can bring about that meditative state. Yes, breathing is a big one.
Yes, and of course the beauty of where I walked, it was uphill, so I had plenty of deep breathing to get me to open up. But
even before the show, you were talking about how you opened up on a flight on the airplane, and I was talking about. Yes, I think that's a very common way for people to open up also, is like a vibration, like a car vibration, riding a car or a plane, the vibration. Sometimes a vibration of something will help you open up. And Teresa's saying she found Tai Chi, other moving meditations, and she sees visions, especially if lighting incense, and she reads smoke. So there's different ways of doing this. Everybody's not alike. Sandy's saying she has a lot of difficulties meditating. So Sandy, it's probably, you don't need to be still while you meditate. You probably need to be moving or something that is repetitive. So you can just look into that. But we all have this vision, and I'm included, that I'm not doing the proper meditation unless I'm sitting still, no sounds or anything, and going inside. Either I'm not that very good at meditating, or I'm not the expert at it, but there are different ways that I do it. Breathing helps me. And also I put drumming on YouTube. So I'm not physically drumming, I'm listening to the drumming. And so that helps me also. That's when I'm going on shamanic journeys, is when I do that. But go ahead, Ashish. Everybody has good information. What was that?
In the sweat lodges, for instance, I initially, you tend to close your eyes. It's dark, you close your eyes. And I thought it had to be totally dark and it had had my eyes closed to see things. But I evolved to where I was actually seeing things in the sweat lodge with my eyes wide open, and it was not necessarily totally dark. And so then, of course, the other experience which we shared together, I was in a hospital bed with 104 fever, and things started coming into the room and this kind of thing, and there, I wasn't intending to meditate, but it came in and and said it's time for us to do something. So, and a lot of time I've gone places to do ceremony or whatever, nothing happens, and then as we were discussing, I'm sitting on a plane flying home, and all of a sudden my eyes are shut, and I have these beautiful visual experiences that occur. So we have spirit guides that are here to help us, and they won't interfere. We ask them for help, then they can sometimes help guide you or facilitate your movement into another realm.
Sandy said she needs to get out of her own way. Sandy, sometimes when I have a lot on my mind or things that need to be done, sometimes I have to list them to get them out of my head onto a piece of paper before I can actually go into meditation. So I tend to write things down, but I found that my mind is just running all over the place. If I write down everything that's going through my mind that needs to be done, that's what I do. I simply write it down before I go into meditation. Let's see, Patricia's saying to do something called bringing up the Kundalini and place bandam protection for each chakra. Tingling on top of head is my sign that my Kundalini is up and working. Oh, Sandy is a good idea. Oh, you're welcome, Sandy. Patricia, you're so far advanced than I am when it comes to meditation. That is great information, but I would have to work with that and learn that myself because that's way above what I do. You're you're further advanced than I am, Patricia, on that. And I believe Terry's in the show today, or she made an appearance. She does meditations every day, Monday through Friday, which she is what I consider the expert on meditation. So y'all might want to try to join her. Sandy, if you haven't joined her, go ahead and join her Monday through Fridays. And Terry, if you're still here, go ahead and put your information in. Or Annie Bear's been doing some of those also for her. So y'all can put the time and everything in. So I don't know, Sandy, if you have joined them yet or not. You might pick up some good ideas there too. So I'm sorry to interrupt about the meditation. So anyway, go ahead and what we're going to eventually go to is how you are able to be in both worlds at the same time. So,
well, the walking trance I did for like 13 years, and it was a journey. It started out with actually me flying up and going to the ship that's circling the Earth, and I still do that and can do that. And after the work with the tectonic plates and the volcanoes was finished, I never knew where I was going to go, but I'd left the ship, and sometimes I would go under the water, down to under the caves, under the earth.
Yeah, remind everybody about the ship, because some people don't.
Well, it was a weird takeoff because I ended up, what I saw first, I'm walking across the grasslands of Africa, and an African man comes in from my right and takes me to his grass hut, and he lays me down in his grass hut, and this repeated over and over the first year or so, and then I was able to just quickly move through this, but it was a very detailed start, and this was what I was seeing as I was walking. And he would take me into his hut, put me down on a lion skin. I'm seeing color. And a woman that I did meditation with was stirring a pot, and he took a locust thorn out of it and put it down behind my right ear. And I levitated off the mat and somehow flew out and ended up with the Great Pyramid and went in through the bottom window. And up through the chambers in the pyramid out the Orion window and went flying up. And here, all of a sudden, here's this big ship in front of me. And I stick my landing on an open deck, and people were there to greet me. And I was shown all around the ship. I was shown the control panel where they monitor the souls. I was shown the labs where they were actually did medical procedures on me. I told you about my room with a hot tub. But anyway, my work room or my chamber or the area I work has a large window on it. And I have a chair I sit in the console, and I visualize the volcanoes and the earthquakes or the fault lines, and I work on these. The work with the volcanoes developed where my clear example there was the Mexican volcano that was to explode. And so I visualized that came up on my screen. I worked with it. And what I saw on my screen, I was shooting silver bullets down into the mouth of the volcano. And the headlines prior to when I started this work was, it's going to erupt and wipe out Mexico City. And nothing happened.
Yeah.
What's that?
Let me ask you a question about that, since we're talking about the different worlds you're in. When you're doing that, were you conscious, awake, meditating, asleep when you're doing that?
This occurred when I'm doing the walking trance. This is all walking. Now I can go to the ship now. I do it every day, just sitting in my house. But at this particular time, that was the first stage of my walking trance, and I'd either go down in the earth or I'd go up above. And so anyway, they said the volcano was going to erupt, no doubt, wipe out Mexico City. And 5 days later, 6 days, I don't hear anything. And then I see a headline that said, volcano doesn't erupt. They see UFOs flying into the mouth of it. And so that started me working with I call my plunger device to redirect the lava back down and under I've used it on the volcanoes in Greenland. I've used it in Hawaii. I've used it there have been some volcanoes supposed to erupt any minute in Alaska, and I'm still working on them. They haven't erupted yet. So anyway, and the headlines, and I get the news on this stuff. They're going to erupt, no doubt about it, this week, or whatever. And so I don't know. I know what I see. I know the experiences I have, whether there's any reality to them. All I know is I have my own experience.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the journey to going from, did you have dreams in the beginning when all this stuff started, or was it before, or just?
Well, as a part of my dad's passing, I had a contact dream with him, very specific dreams. And I don't remember specifically. I think it's all integrated, all flowing kind of a similar time. But the most beautiful dream I had, I was fishing and the line gets hooked, and I grabbed the line and walked right into the water and come to a big brush pile, and it's in color, and I'm underwater just walking along the bottom, breathing fine. And I see my lure over in a big hunk of brush. So I walk up to it, and the hunk of brush turns into a white buffalo calf. And the white buffalo calf was born 3 days later.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was a news headline.
So how long ago was that?
Oh, this has been 30, 40 years ago. So.
Okay. So was that before you started doing your walking journeys and started?
Yeah, that was before the walking. The dreams were before the walking. So I'm a very active dreamer, and I know I have different levels of dreams, and I know when I'm in them. I think I told you about the dream where I was on the moving staircase and had a glimpse of heaven, told it wasn't my time, I had to return, and so that was a beautiful dream. One of the things that came up in my mind was after I left the ship, I would end up. There were various places I went, but one of the favorite places was Tibet. And I'd be walking in the garden of the monks and he'd point to a tree and he said, "Are you hungry?" And I said, "Yes." And he'd manifest a fruit and pick it for me and said, "This is more efficient than having all the fruit rot and dry on the ground." But I also ended up in a Buddhist temple where I
Okay.
was.
Well, I'm going to get you on track here.
Okay.
We're going to lead up to you being able to be awake and be on the spaceship and down here on Earth at the same time. But
Yes.
it did not happen overnight. Started, and so I want to hear how that started. Dreams first.
Dreams. Of course, I did the Native American. I was doing the Native American things, and actually, the prelude to the trance walk was I was doing a weekly meditation with two women in a very famous corporation's conference room with a glass ceiling, and they would pass. The two of them worked there, and they'd pass me in, and we did meditation there, which we would hold hands, and I'd start it, and they'd hold hands and shut their eyes, and I said, visualize jumping out of an aircraft and forming the flying circle with your hands joined. You've seen the skydivers do it.
Right.
And we do that, and then it would spin, and then we actually evolved where we would visualize the other person and actually able to go down through their body and see the energy in their body. And there, from there, go to a meditation. We ended up in King Tut's tomb once. There were several places that, that was the most memorable. And we did it for 20 minutes, and then we talked about it, and then we went back to work. And when that ended was when I started the trance walk.
Okay.
Because
let me clarify this for everybody. So you first started dreaming, and dreams, like first time you started having like vivid dreams is when your father passed. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was camped out at a lake when he came in. He had this one lake. He always showed up when I went there. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. And then after that, what made you start meditating?
Well, I joined what was called a house church, and that was the first meditation. Then that evolved the people there into the pipe circle, as I called it, with the Native American things, and some of the people from pipe circle were the same people that I did the meditation with at this corporation, and so and actually then was at Bear Butte in South Dakota. Did 2 vision quests there with people from the pipe circle, and I had visions there, of course.
Okay, so all right, I'm going to take this step by step with you because people are really interested because they want the same kind of journey, and they want to hear how you got to where you are. Somebody might be still at meditation, and they want to know how the next step that like you took to get to where you are. So when you started dreaming and then you started meditating, and what made you interested in meditation? Just because you saw people doing it? Is that correct?
No, I've got a strong Native American past life. And so doing the Native American ceremony was coming home to me. And so that's why I was very comfortable and interested in doing that. And it opened up for me right away in the drumming circle. I started seeing things right away.
So you started the drumming circle before you started meditating?
Yeah. Well, the drumming circle was, my first form of meditation. I went from dreams to the drumming circle.
Okay. And you went to the drumming circle because you knew you had a Native American past, correct?
Yeah, I felt it in my bones. I've danced at powwows and actually told a Native American, she wanted to know what nation I was. And I said, I'm a funky old white man. She said, no, not the way you dance. She could see the spirit in my dance. And so, and I could feel it. And that's why I did it. And so, I didn't know I had Native blood. I know I had a Native American past life, but it was later on in life I found I do have Native American blood. So
okay, so we're gonna start this again. So we started off with dreams, then we went to the drum circle.
Yes.
then that interested you in meditation.
Yes. Well, the the Karen, um, when I say meditation, the only strict meditation I did where you just sat down with your legs crossed, I did join a Buddhist group in the city I was in, and
Now,
I went.
when did you do that? Now, is this before the walking trip?
No, this was
Okay.
actually after the trance walk.
Okay, I'm trying to get you to go to the timeline of how this
Well,
happened.
it's the Native American, the drumming circle was my main sense
Okay.
of meditation,
All right. So,
and that was the main structure meditation. Otherwise, other than that, I had a
okay.
military career and a civilian career. I didn't have a lot of time.
All I'm trying to do is get you from the place that it started for you to being able to sit in your chair right now and know what's happening in this world and the spaceship world and the other world. So I'm trying
Sure.
to give a timeline which will help people to who might have just started meditating to being able to see at the same time what they're doing in fifth dimension and this dimension, and being able to observe that also. So that's why I'm trying to give them this example. So you went from dreams to meditation or drum circle to trance walking, and then you went to the Buddhist. Now I know all this overlaps. I get that, but I'm just trying to get the progression of how this happened for you too. So when the trance walking is when you were able to be in both worlds at the same time, correct?
Correct. And that evolved. I was still doing the Native American things on the side, but the trans walk was my first structured daily meditation.
Okay.
And so
that's where you were started to go out of your body and know where your body was going.
right. And so that was a very big step.
And how long were you doing that before that happened?
What's that?
How long were you doing those walks? Like the first day, 2 weeks, a month?
Well, I did the walks for 13 years, and I walked every day that the weather was conducive to walking.
Right.
And
so when did that start? When did you first go out of your body and know what you were doing when those walks? How long did that process take?
Well, it started 20 or 30, about 30 years ago, actually. I'm an old man. But
okay. But from day one that you started those trance walks to when you stopped, what time period in there was that you knew you were working on a spaceship? Was it day one?
Day one, yeah. Day one, I went to the ship.
Okay. And you knew you were going to the ship.
I didn't know where I was going. I just started walking up the hill.
Okay. So what I'm trying to get to is how long, which these people are interested in, how long from the day one doing trance walking did you realize what you were doing when you were going out of your body? 2 weeks? A month?
Yeah, I mean, I realized that, and it was interesting because I just started out and I went there. I didn't have a plan for getting back, is what I'm trying to say. And so when it was time, my walk was about up, I have to figure out a way to get back. Now, a lot of times, I could just snap myself back, but in the walk, I had to come up with a procedure to come back because in the first week or so, I ran into an issue on getting back. And when I got back to where I was working, I got online with a woman that I had been working with, and she actually helped get me back. And so we developed a procedure to return. So getting out was easy. Coming back, I actually had to figure out a way to get back.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so that started your adventure. So I know it started then, but when were you able to control it? I guess is what I'm going to be the next question. How long did it take you before you could control it? Know what you're going and when you could jump out and when you should be back in it?
Well, the trip to the ship opened up right away, and so the walk always started with a trip to the ship.
Okay.
And the first year or so I was real structured. I went through the hut in Africa,
Okay.
and after that I was able to sort of visually skip through that and fly out the Orion window and end up on the ship.
Yeah,
And
and that's kind of what I'm asking, that part. How long did that part take?
that about a year.
Okay. There you go. That's
Yeah.
but I'm sorry. I'm not asking the questions correctly, I don't think. But yes, that'll be a big help for them. So you were structuredly walking for a year before you could actually control where you were going and what you were doing.
Well, let's back up. I I did the walk to go to the ship, so sometimes it didn't flow right, and so I kind of kicked my imagination in, and then it would jump start and take off. But basically, I always had the intent of starting at the ship, and
Right.
so when my work was through at the ship, I had two things. I never knew. I always knew I was going to the ship. I never knew what I was going to do after I started my work on the ship. And
Mhm.
sometimes a small, I call it the putt-putt saucer would show up. I'd hop in and I'd fly to other worlds. Sometimes I jumped off the ship and ended up in the ocean and dived under the water and down into these underground chambers. Other times I'd end up in Tibet. I'd end up sitting in a Buddhist temple, and this was a beautiful story I wanted to share. I'd end up in a beautiful, and I never knew where I was going. You know, when I left the ship, I never knew where I was going, but I always went someplace. And I ended up in a Buddhist temple, sitting in front of an 8-foot Buddha for 2 or 3 trips. And on the fourth, I don't know, sometime after doing it several times, I became Buddha, and I was looking down at myself through Buddha. I was Buddha looking down at myself, sitting in front of Buddha. And these were totally spontaneous experiences. I, I, I really had, I was in free form, and they just happened. I had no intent. I had no, well, today I'm going to go over here. Or, I never knew. I'd get off the ship and I'd either end up jumping in the water or hopping in the little saucer, and then I'd end up in Tibet or someplace like that. Um, I I mentioned this once before. Well, it it evolved based on my emotional state. So I was there were I had a shaman came up to me, and I knew who he was, and we ran into each other randomly, and he said, "Are you ready?" And we'd done work together, and I said, "I guess I better be." and he touched me on the chest, and he said, "I'm empowering you with owl medicine." And for a month after that, when I left the ship, I flew. An owl would come from behind and fly through me, and I'd fly as an owl, looking down on whatever I was supposed to see. And I saw buffalo stampedes. I ended so it had extraterrestrial aspects. It had Mother Earth aspects. It had Native American. I never knew where it was going to go, and but I always went safely and returned safely. I never had any fear element with me. Um, one time I was flying with owl, I saw myself staked out, and staking out is a Native American tradition where the elder goes out and it's time to go. And he either stakes out in front of a war party that's coming at him, or a buffalo stampede or something, and basically a Native American suicide and spiritual suicide, well, physical and spiritual suicide. And I saw myself staked out in a buffalo stampede coming at me, and they all ran around me. wasn't my time. So, I mean, there's no limit to where I went.
Right. So when did you become aware that you were going these different places? Right in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I started to walk, and it just started to, it's like watching a movie. You know, I didn't know what channel I was going to watch. I just turned it on, and it just it came up, and I was aware. I mean, these were visual things. They were in color. They were essential. Some of them. I met a woman in one of the caves I went into. I met a woman, and we made love, and she became pregnant, and the child was 5 years old by the time the walk was over. And I saw her 2 or 3 times, and then I never saw her again. So, you know, I never set the intent to go back and see her again. I really never set any intent on what I was doing. It was strictly spirit, you know, took me where I was supposed to go.
Okay. So because, doing shamanic journeys, which Teresa's talking about, you tend to set an intent of where you're going to go. So you weren't setting any kind of intent when you went on your walks. You just let it happen.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it's totally, I'm not a fiction writer. You know, I can't sit down and create short stories. I mean, I had a heck of a time in school in creative writing because I just had a big blank. You know, I had to go to the principal's office because I had no creative writing abilities.
Well, that's what we definitely both have in common because I'm the same way. I'm math, science oriented, and creative things are not my thing. But here I am having to write about these things that sound extremely creative, and I'm just writing down the facts of what happened.
Sure. So it's you know, been such a beautiful, you know, I can get through life knowing I've experienced these things and the pleasure. There's a great euphoria that I've received out of these, and it's, you know, it's just a knowingness that I could tolerate life because I know I've seen all these other beautiful things and what they are. So
Right. So where are you today on your journeys? Because you said you're not doing your walks right now. So how are you getting into your meditative state or your trance, whatever you're needing to do?
I go to a weekly group called Metaphysics, and we do some meditation there. We experience things, ghosts come into the room. I mean, it's just, and so that's kind of a weekly thing. My main activity now is, prior to going to sleep, is I do go to the ship. Well, I start out with the Lord's Prayer, and then I go to the ship and I do the Teutonic plates and this kind of thing, and then Spirit speaks to me, you know, through the activities I do when I'm ready to experience something, like the funerals I've done, and I see people get up out of their caskets and walk off, and that kind of thing. I've got a shaman friend that's going to come visit this week, so I'm sure we'll spend time doing that. So I'm kind of scaling back some activities I'm doing, so maybe I can spend more time in meditation.
Right. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about while we're here?
This came back to me. One of the spin outs I do is when I go under the water, I come up in these underground cave, and I get out of the water, and it's warm. The soil is about 6 inches deep. I don't leave muddy footprints. It doesn't stick to me. There are crystals on the wall, and I rub my hand up over like this, motion over the crystals, and they illuminate and turn lights on. And then there's a whole labyrinth of underground chambers I've gone through, and the special one is going under the Sphinx. There's one room that has crystal plates in it that I take out, and there's a rack, and I slide a plate in the rack, and I lay down with my head under the rack, kind of aligned with the top of the Sphinx, and an energy would flow down through the head of the crystal plate in the head of the Sphinx and come down through this plate, and a euphoric feeling you just can't describe. And so this is one of the rooms I go to. Another room has Atlantis in it. I can walk the streets of Atlantis. There's another room where I, engage in the constellations, and there's another room that has red strings of red beads in it, and that's kind of like your life history. So this going underground was a very special place, and many experiences there. The times I ended up in Tibet, and the Tibet kind of coincided with I connected with with a woman in Sweden over the internet, and she sent me a book on I forgot the something with the dragons, and I read that. And when I did that, it opened up this whole realm of spiritual journeys to Tibet with monks and walking there. And it was interesting. I would see things in these journeys that later on I'd pick up a book, and I was reading books on different things. And I read things I'd seen on these journeys, I'd find in books later. And I have two past lives as a Mayan priest down in the Chichen Itza in that area. And what I want to say to you is I kind of integrated this with hypnosis. And so, or trance. Before I would go someplace, I would have a person that would kind of take me into a trance, and I would see things in the trance then that I would find at the places that I went to. For example, down at Cuba, which is a large temple complex down in the Yucatan, I didn't know I was going to Chichen Itza. I didn't know I was going there. And as a part of the trip, we ended up driving by this ruin. And so we stopped and said, well, let's look at it. We didn't even know it existed. And so when I was standing in front of this 9-10-story temple, I had, in the hypnosis before going there, I had experienced standing in front of the temple, and I actually walked a path that I'd walked in the hypnosis. So it's if you're going to travel, do a meditation ahead of time, because generally you're traveling to some place in your past life.
Right.
And so do a meditation to be shown, and then when you're journeying, just stay alert to how you feel when you're around the places you go to. The most significant one, and I didn't pre-see this one.
Okay.
I was in Ireland at the Bunratty Castle in a living feast banquet hall, a 2-story wall, and I'm watching the program. I'm looking to the side at the program. Something straight takes my head straight, makes me look up, and I see Richard de Clare, king of the castle, in a living color, showing up on the wall.
Oh, wow.
And he said, he spoke to me. My name is Richard.
You okay?
My wife's name is Anne.
Okay. All right. Well, I think
And I am Richard. And I am Richard.
Okay.
I've ended up channeling Richard.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time. We appreciate your stories. They've been great stories, and about your journey on how you got through and started being able to live in both worlds, the 3D and 5D or whatever dimension that is. And thanks everybody for joining us today. And my next show will be, actually, I'm doing a show for somebody. I'm not sure if it'll be simulcast tomorrow night, but definitely I'll be doing another show on Wednesday. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you, Ashishishe, for being here and sharing your information and stories. And we will see y'all later. All right. Thanks, everybody. All right. Bye-bye.